This is a two-part story inspired by the word neck-boned. Friday was my dad's birthday, and anyone who knows him knows he likes to create different meanings for words that already exist. So I want to share this wild story from my first date vault, and I would like you to remember the word neck-boned. The first time I ever used Tinder, I was 29, and I had zero experience with online dating. My naivete had a full tank of gas, and my optimism was picking the destination. I matched with a lot of dudes. The posing with a tiger picture craze was huge at this point, so throw on the Shape of You, 24 Karat Magic, and stay woke, because we're time traveling to 2017, baby. So I matched with this guy, and he was a cutie. He wanted to talk on the phone, and I didn't really know if this was normal, so I just did it. He told me that he was from New Zealand, hot, and that he moved here for work, job. He said that one of his sisters lived close to me in my neighborhood, and he started naming bars by me. Okay, this guy knows what's up. He said his other sister that lived here lived in Newark. It was a real family affair. So we made plans to go out a couple nights later. He was living in Hoboken, and if you're a listener of the show, you know Hoboken's been referenced in quite a few episodes. It's a trendy party spot for wealthier millennials to live out the fantasy of what the rest of us thought our 20s in New York would look like. And it's extremely close to Midtown Manhattan and totally easy to get to. I say all this about Hoboken where he was staying because he told me the night that we'd be going out was actually his birthday, and that he was happy to come meet me anywhere, but if we had the date in Hoboken at the W Hotel where his job was putting him up until his apartment was ready, because remember, he just moved here from New Zealand, that his job would take care of the entire tab as a birthday gift. Would you have said no to the W in Hoboken overlooking the water and skyline where you'd be given red wine and gnocchi even though you didn't know gnocchi would be part of the equation until much later in the story? What a treat! Of course I said I'd come to Hoboken. I don't look gift horses in the mouth. I look them right in the ass, then I follow them inside the gift horse shop and leave with my gift horse gift. Later, Mr. Ed, thanks for the goods. When I got to Hoboken, I was nervous. I was late, classic, so I took an $8 car, irrelevant. When he met me at the hotel entrance, very handsome in person. Okay, we're on the board, people. We sat at the bar and he was very chatty, which is good. Sometimes that is good. Sometimes I really do just like to listen to people, so it took the pressure to hold a convo because my man had a firm grasp. Also, remember, this was my first ever Tinder date. I was real nervous. He's telling me all about his life in New Zealand and how he's the oldest of 9 with 8 younger sisters, and his parents have date night every Friday night, and his family owns a dive bar in Scotland, which actually he prefers dive bars, and that's my preference most of the time too, so I'm getting real warmed up. Despacito, number 2 song of 2017. Then the record scratch round my brain. He called himself a mulatto. I turned into the blinking guy meme, you know the one. Did you just refer to yourself as mulatto? Yeah, my dad's black and my mom is white. Oh my God, me too. You too? No, yes, back and forth, back and forth. Both of us thought the other one was white. There we were, 2 mixed kids at the bar in our ever-permanent white shield costumes. My guard dropped so low to the ground, you couldn't tell if it was at the window or the wall, but the sweat was about to drip down his balls because this female was about to crawl. The rest of the night was all uphill, which, why do we say uphill when things are going well? When it's way easier to sled than it is to hike. Table that. Things were going great. He told me about his job, and the long and short of his job was that he did data analysis for ISIS, so he tracked them in the sky or something to protect us. I don't know, you guys. I wasn't the hiring manager for this position. He said his job lets him carry a gun, and he had government clearance. Was your girl about to become a real housewife of Hoboken? We took it upstairs, where he showed me his gun. That was an innuendo. A penis. Innuendo. Keep up. After that, he wanted to take me on a coffee date. A day walker? This is serious. This was also a lot for me. He came on strong with the texts and the calls and the compliments. He was at a 10. Me, not so much. So even though I was very, very, very into him, I hit the brakes. He told me that if I ever wanted to see him again, he'd be waiting. Then he called us the Mixed Wonder Twins. Relax, Jamie Lannister, this isn't King's Landing. Tune in next week and I'll tell you part 2 of this epic first date saga. Duh. Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! Did you have a good week? I had a pretty chill and a pretty low-key week. I got a new dresser and I put the whole thing together myself, even though the instructions said this was a 2-person job. Then I broke down my old dresser and I bagged it and I brought it outside. I say this not to brag about my bad bitchdom. I say this to remind you that you're more powerful than you think. So, do the thing that you've been trying to do, but maybe you gotta do it solo. I was talking with John early this week, and we had this very intense conversation about kindness and nourishing people. Most people spend their lives exhausted doing a job or living a life they aren't happy living. I'm not trying to be John Lennon Jr. and say like, imagine all the people. But I kind of am. And I actually just remembered that all those celebrities saying imagine, that was such a joke and so funny. It may not have helped the country, but it did make us all laugh together, so there's that. But getting back on track, what if for one day you tried to be epically kind to everyone in every single interaction? Not fake, but just straight up kind. Let somebody over in traffic. Actually ask the person at the store how their day is going. I'm no fool. I know that it's really hard to be kind to people because some people are motherfucking assholes. I'm just saying try it. If you can't be kind for a day, do it for 2 hours. A friend of mine from work back in the day sent me a really nice text that she really enjoyed last week's episode. This is not a friend I see or speak to regularly, maybe a happy birthday or a pleasantry here and there. Make no mistake, she is a friend for sure, and I have nothing but love for her, but our paths just took us in different directions as life does. And I just want to shout her out. Joey, thank you. That text made my entire week, and I really, really appreciate you giving me that love. It was really supportive, and it was really sweet, and I really appreciate it. Words matter. Speaking of coworkers, I'd also like to shout out my friend Jerry. I ran into him at the spot that he's working on a date last week, and not knowing that he worked there, only to be met with the most epic treatment. So unexpected, so fun, so wild. Thank you for hooking us up, Jerry. This is what I'm talking about. Kind people. Try it on as a trial run if you can't do it full time. AOC got Omicron, likely from partying in Florida, and people are on her dick about it. People are happy that she got it, and that is fucked up. People have to be better than that. Come on. I love AOC and her long-ass Instagram posts and her long-ass stories. She's thorough, and I'm happy she's okay. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, have you ever wondered how tall Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos are? I have. They're 5'3" and 5'7.5". Number 2, was Puff Daddy because he blew puffs? He never really raps about weed. So, number 3, Obama should have a cameo. Number 4, salami really does slap. Number 5, how many times have ambulances had to come and get someone because they had a heart attack due to a prank? What are the statistics on that? Number 6, why is it socially acceptable to eat your egg sunny side up, but not socially acceptable to eat raw cookie dough? Number 7, Kanye West really had us in the club dancing to Jesus Walks. And number 8, are windows called windows because the wind says ow when it hits them? My guest this week is Lyssa Mandel. Lyssa is a comedian, writer, podcast host, and friend. Her wild word was romantic, and her wild night was beautiful. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you subscribe on YouTube, you can watch extended interviews with all of my guests. Thank you to everyone who's written a review on Apple Podcasts, and a future thank you to all of you who are going to write a review after this episode is over. It really does make a difference, so thank you so much. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Lyssa Mandel. Lyssa, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
I am so delighted to be here with you. Best Friday night ever.
Best Friday night ever. I concur. The only thing that would make it better is we are indeed friends, number one. Some of the people I have on the show I've just met for the first time, but you are a true blue friend, and you're also a neighbor. So the only thing that would make this better is if we were in person doing this.
I agree. Well, next time for sure.
Next time for sure. How has your 2022 been so far?
Well, 22 is my lucky number. So I came in with some good vibes anyway. And 2021 was truly the worst car wreck year of my life. So I'm just so relieved to start a new one that I feel like I've got some good, ammunition, at least to start. It's all right so far. I'm getting a piece published.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you. And it's about the ketamine
treatment. Yeah.
Treatment.
Awesome.
I'm going to Joshua Tree in February for a month to do an artist residency.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to get into that because obviously we both know how much I love mushrooms. So I'm sure those are involved.
Yes. Yeah, it's good. It's good so far. I feel like it was so bad last year that by comparison, I feel so much better this year.
I have to agree with you about 2021. I was having a conversation with someone a couple days ago, and we were actually actively talking about, was 2020 worse or was 2021 worse? And I don't know. I think for me personally, 2021 feels worse because of that rev up of Omicron at the end, where it was just like, oh, this is really shitty. Like it's been shitty. Everything, we kind of had like a taste of freedom and now everything's shitty again. But I think 2021 was worse than 2020.
Well, can I propose something woo-woo briefly about it?
Please do.
I knew you would understand. Numerologically, right, there are 9 archetypes of years, 1 through 9. And so if you add up your birth date plus the year, like your birth month, birth date, day, and the current year, it will tell you like what numerology number year you're in, which give you like an idea about the flavor of the year. My birthday is not until the end of the year. It's in November.
Okay.
So for me, the 2020 vibes that I think a lot of people were feeling didn't like start until November of 2020 for me. So that like, if that makes sense, like where a lot of people were at in 2020, I wasn't there. I was feeling pretty good. And I was like, wow, looks like I can get through a pandemic, no problem. And then 2021 was when it all went down. So.
2021 was like, nah. Well, yeah. I hope maybe afterwards you can add up my birthday numbers and we can figure out what's going on. Because honestly, Lyssa, I'm feeling light. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. I know there's a lot of sadness, but I'm trying to be positive, do my own part. And between you and me and the airwaves now, I'm feeling a little romantic.
Oh,
which is convenient because romantic was Lyssa's wild word. So Lyssa, can you please take us through your wild night story, romantic?
I would love to. I have to say that you know who I am, and I'm a pretty straight and narrow person. And so I don't have a lot of wild nights to speak of. Like I've had a lot of nights, but I've so frequently I so frequently was the friend who was like just getting annoyed while all my other friends got totally sloppy.
Right.
Um, but this was, when you get to the point where you're so exhausted and you're so over it and you're so like sad or in despair or whatever it is that you just don't have the energy to give any fucks. So
Yeah.
this is the space where this begins. It was the summer after my sophomore year of college. I had just gone through the most horrific breakup of my life. My heart
Yeah.
was ripped out of my body. I had real codependence problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been that semester in this English class that was Fitzgerald and Hemingway. So I had been reading a lot of, romantic with a capital R stories of writers in cafes for hours at a time,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and I was like, I need that. Like, I need to get the hell out of here. I was in school in Chicago, and I was like, I have to leave the country. I have to go somewhere where there's a different language, a different currency. I just need to get the fuck out.
Wow.
And so I went to Spain alone. And just to age myself here, like, I didn't have a cell phone yet. I got one when I returned from Spain that summer, but I didn't have a cell phone.
Were they popular when you went to Spain, or was it just hit and miss?
It was kind of hit and miss. So
Gotcha.
this was the summer of 2003. Yeah.
Okay.
So like some people had it, but it wasn't everywhere. Like, we all still had landlines.
Yeah.
So I went to Spain. I booked a trip for 6 weeks by myself. And the only access to internet you get is like in like really shady basement internet cafes where you pay €1 so you can go on AOL. Yeah. And I just spent all day every day walking the streets of Madrid and crying and like listening to my Discman. And I was staying in this hostel.
Wait, before you get into the hostel,
Yes.
Discman, for anyone who doesn't know, is a portable CD player. And if you don't know what a CD is, I can't help you. But do you remember what CD you would listen to, or multiple CDs you would listen to through your Eat, Pray, Love walks through Madrid?
Yeah, I had. So definitely some Belle and Sebastian, because like it's real, like, weepy and wafy. Rufus Wainwright, who's also just like quintessential romance. Massive Attack, when I was feeling a little more intense. Those are the ones that come to mind.
That's
yeah. And it's so funny. It's just aging myself so much.
That's okay.
It can't be helped.
Listen, age is a beautiful thing. Age is a beautiful thing.
Agree. I've been, so as you can see, I mean, the listeners can't see, but you can see that right here I have these two like indentations where my furrowed brow furrows.
Oh, gotcha.
And they used to kind of go away when I stopped furrowing it, but now they're always there. And I'm like, I'm not going to get Botox. I'm not going to fucking do it. I'm just going to let it happen. Anyway. So heartbroken little Lyssa wandering the streets of Madrid. I was in this hostel on Calle Fuencarral, which was like in the gay neighborhood. And I had my own room, like shared bathroom down the hall. And the hostel was above this coffee shop called Cafe Colby. And every day I would go in there and I would order my little cortado and I would journal and just sit there for hours, doing just like in my own thoughts, sniffing my own farts. And the people who worked in the cafe were all these just delightful gay men in their 20s, maybe 30s. And I just was there all the time. So they started being really friendly with me. And then I started to stay until they closed. And when they closed, I would offer to help them put up the chairs and just like not leave. And they were like, okay, cool. And so like we would sit in this cafe, like drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes, and they would speak so quickly that I would like like my Spanish was okay. It wasn't the best, but their English was not great. So it was just like, we had this connection through just a feeling of like, we get each other. So I was there for, I did this for a couple of weeks until finally Demetrio, or Deme, who was like the one that I really super connected with, And he had gone through a breakup recently, and so we were just we didn't have the language to speak to each other, but we were just like holding space for each other's heartbreak. You know what I
You
mean?
were on the same vibration.
We were on the same vibration. Exactly. You
Mm.
get it. So one night, he and a couple of other guys, and there was one woman who worked there, by the way. Her name was Raquel. By the
Oh,
way.
hola, Raquel.
Yeah. She was a badass. I think that you would have been like sisters.
Oh,
They were gonna go dancing, so they asked if I wanted to go with them. And I had never done that before. And like, I don't know if you know too much about Europe, but basically they eat dinner at 10 or 11 o'clock and they don't go out until like midnight.
oh, geez.
So,
Yeah, I think I've heard that around the bend.
yeah, which I'm totally fine. Like, I'm definitely a night owl. That is
Yeah.
what my body clock does. So, and I will say, like, I wasn't smoking pot yet at that time, which is funny because now I'm a total stoner.
Hey man, you came to the right place.
I know. Well, I mean, cheers.
I got my joint for afterwards. I'm excited.
So we went to this club and just like had some drinks, and it was like the most like sweaty, but it didn't for some reason feel like an American club. Like, maybe it's just because there was this sheen of like, oh, it's magic because it's Europe. There was just this really good feeling about it. And we just danced the entire night. And like, they didn't even, I don't even think they turned the music off, but like eventually when we decided to leave, it was the sun was coming up.
Gotcha.
And it was like masses of people in the street who were all leaving the clubs at the same time. And it was just so beautiful. And we went back to Deme's apartment. And I crashed, and he let me sleep in his bed, and he slept on the couch. And I crashed in his bed for a few hours, and then I woke up and he fed me coffee and oranges, and we smoked a little hash. And he had this Audrey Hepburn poster on his wall. And it was just, I just felt like I belonged. Like, I felt like I was really included in this foreign place. And it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of a travel junkie. So this really stoked those fires. And I'm not still in touch with Deme, unfortunately, but another one of the guys, I can't think of his name right now. Is it Jonathan? Anyway,
it'll come to you.
It will. We're still friends on Instagram, and he went into the wine business. So he's like, if you ever want to come back, you should. And then, you know, I might be this April going back.
I think you should take him up on it, frankly.
Oh yeah,
I think
for sure.
I think you should take him up on it. And that was going to be my question. I was going to ask if you kept in touch with them, because I imagine that this was such a major catalyst in getting over your heartbreak, which was the whole reason you went there.
Right. I mean, it definitely was a balm on my wounds, but it didn't heal it. And
no,
frankly, my boyfriend and I got back together like 8 months later. And then he broke up with me a year after that again. So it was just but I needed that heartbreak to happen in order to propel me overseas. And now I feel this like really deep special kinship with Spain.
Yeah.
And like it's a holy place for me. So I am grateful for the heart. And oh my God, last year, I posted this Instagram post of a picture of me and my friend Norberto in front of the Palacio Real in Madrid, and told a like brief little story about Spain. And the guy who I told you about, who's the wine guy, God, what is his name?
Probably something like beautiful and smooth.
I think it's like Jaime, or I think it's a J name. I don't know why.
Okay.
But he was like, oh my God, Norberto, this is amazing. And it's just like it's all just good feelings. So I don't think that's the end, basically.
Yeah. Was it really hard to leave?
Yeah. I mean, I actually had booked 4 weeks in Madrid and 2 in Barcelona. Wait, is that what I did? No, 3 and 3.
3 and 3.
When I got to Barcelona, it was like this wild heat wave. Like, people, like old people were dying all over the place in the Mediterranean.
Geez.
And it was just really gross. And it was also August, so it was like full of tourists. Like, Barcelona was kind of like Disney World at this time of year. I ended up going back I ended up going back to Madrid instead. I really didn't want to leave. I was like, I mean, who would? It's not like
Yeah.
I had a job then. I was just like
Yeah, you were
living
floating around.
living in the lap of luxury, smoking long cigarettes off my balcony. Come on.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't want to leave that either. And I would say, um, I'm the kind of person, I like to chase the fun. I'm like,
Yes, I know.
oh, you know that about me. And so I like to chase the fun. And so if I do something really fun, I try to do it again. I'm like, oh, that was great. Let's
Mm,
redo it again,
mhm.
line them up. And I feel like if I had a similar experience where I went to this club, which maybe wasn't the norm for you clubbing,
Right. Not
I
at
would
all.
I would try to go back again and relive it and then probably be wildly disappointed.
Yeah, see, this is why, I mean, this is why I have a real problem editing. I can write but not edit because I always think at the first idea, best idea,
Hmm.
that the first draft, nothing will ever come close to it. Like, 'cause there's something about the magic of the unexpected
Yeah.
that you can't, like, recreating it just by the very fact of recreating it. It can't be as magical as the first time
Mm-mm.
because you're expecting something. You have
Yeah.
an expectation. Yeah.
You've added fantasy to reality when you're going back to do something again like that. You know what I mean? You've got the
Yeah.
fantasy of could this be something more and the reality of what it already was. Well, listen,
Right.
that was absolutely beautiful. It was super romantic. And I imagine it was just like such a wild night for you because again, we talked about it. That's not your norm to go out
Right.
clubbing and all that. And so the fact that you let yourself go and have that memory, I mean, it shapes you and it stays with you, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and thank you for not judging me for having a wild night that wasn't very wild by most standards.
Well, I always say to people, anyone coming on the show, I always say, whatever wild means to you, because,
Mm,
and it's interesting enough too. My guest last week, Daphne Springs, we were talking about how people, what somebody else's low is
mhm.
might not be low to another person. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's the same thing with life experiences. Some people might be like, oh, I like to give blowjobs in vestibules. And other people might be like, I like a blowjob in my bedroom. So it's still a blowjob, but it's different degrees of,
Yeah.
I'm not saying,
Listen,
people
no,
have their
fuck that.
kinks.
Like, I definitely have a thing about doing it in public. Like, that is high on my list
You're
of things.
voyeur.
I'm a voyeur. Yeah, but I could be an exhibitionist too.
Oh, that's what I meant. Exhibitionist is when you like to do
Is
it
when
in public, and voyeur is
voyeur is
like when
when
you watch.
watch. Yeah.
I too am exhibitionist.
Yeah, I'm not remotely surprised.
The rumors are true. Well, anyways, Lyssa, moving on because this is not about me. This is about you. You host your own podcast, but it's not the first podcast that you've hosted.
Yes. So, oh, sorry.
No, please.
The podcast that I currently host is called What's Betwixt Us, and I actually do it for my job. I work for this app called Zany,
Mm-hmm.
which is an app for Slack that is basically a conversation starter that's supposed to be like a tool to build empathy and trust in remote teams. So, which is like a huge thing right now, right? So,
Yeah,
like, you work with these people, but like, how do you get to know them as people so that you don't just feel like you're showing up to, you know, letters on a screen. So,
yeah.
um, so the podcast is just me talking with people from all different industries about their anecdotes and experiences of empathy at work, like what that means to them, and like what they've learned from years of being in the workforce. And I've talked to people from like rabbis to finance people to writers to comedians to like
Yeah,
all different
professors.
people.
You've had a
Yep,
professor on.
yep.
Yeah, I've listened to quite a few episodes, and one of the things you do at the end is you
Mhm.
ask your guests a question that's
Yes,
unwork related
yes.
and just kind of to get to know them on a different level. And so I'm so actually very happy about the story you chose because the question I wanted to steal that from your podcast
Yeah.
just for this episode with you and ask you a question.
Okay.
And the question I was planning on asking you was if you could vacation with any group of friends, where would you take them? And that was my
Oh,
question before I knew your story.
wow. Wow. God, I want to go to so many places. I mean, it would be awesome to go to Spain. I would say I also have like a real affinity for the desert, and
Mm,
I would love to go camping in any desert with friends. But
yeah.
like also as mentioned before, Joshua Tree, a place that I super love, like the Mojave would be a great place to do that. But I don't know, I would go to Morocco, I would go to
Ooh,
Argentina, I would go to um Thailand. I want to go everywhere. I want to be
yeah,
Anthony Bourdain of
I
Lyssa.
know.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, that is your show is great. And the
Thank
fact that you
you.
have conversations with so many different types of people and get their view on empathy, which is so lacking right now,
Hmm.
has probably taught you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was possible to get burned out on the concept of empathy, but now, like, it is, I feel good to know
Uh-huh.
that it is much more higher visibility than it used to be.
Hmm.
But I will tell you, it's already come to the point where it's like people are dropping words like empathy just to sound like they're
Empathetic.
yeah, like company corporate culture is now using it a lot in order to attract employees, and it's like, yeah, but like the action is what's the important part, not just the
Absolutely.
talking about it. But yeah, I have I love it. I love, as you know, my other podcast that I used to do, the bitch seat, which spoiler alert, is coming back
Ooh.
to Super Secret Arts in Brooklyn. um I love to make, like, I didn't make them, but like I would love to create a space where people could vulnerably talk about their childhoods and laugh about stuff, like the
Yeah.
awkward stuff or the hard stuff. I just love to do that with people in general. And so I feel like what's betwixt this is almost the grown-up version, like the grown-up workplace version of that, where
Yeah.
when you give people the space to be vulnerable, they really step into it because they're ready, like they're hungry to do that.
Yeah, and it does sound like all the guests that you've had on feel very comfortable because there are some you have not met before, some it's, for
Hmm.
the first time, and
Yeah.
there are some that but it does feel like they're very comfortable speaking to you. So that says a lot about you
Yeah.
as a host and your
Thank you.
experience as a podcast host. So I encourage anyone that wants to check that out. And speaking of the bitch seat, this is the surprise. I told Lyssa before we recorded that I had a little surprise for her.
Hmm.
So years ago, I think it was almost 4.5 years ago, Lyssa had me on her podcast, The Bitch Seat, which is where you read a diary entry from your youth. And I did that, and it was really fun. And she gave me this as a
Oh my
gift.
Oh my
It
God, I
Yes,
totally forgot what I gave you. Oh my God. Okay, for the listeners, there are these two, it's a necklace, a leather necklace. It's these two teeny tiny leather flip-flops on a necklace. And frankly, Rocky, I don't even remember where I got that.
well,
But it's really cute.
it's the cutest, and I was obsessed with it when you gave it to me, and I still obviously had it and treasured it.
Yay.
Listen, I both are from Connecticut originally, shoreline towns, about
Yes.
20 minutes away from each other. And so this was kind of, I think you gave it to me just because of that fact that we're like beach town girls.
Yeah,
And I absolutely love it. So I thought you would get a kick out of me
I
wearing it for your
do.
episode.
That really warms my heart. That makes me so happy because I always would say when I gave people gifts, they were things that came from my childhood
Yeah.
bedroom, which is still intact in Guilford, Connecticut.
Yes.
And so I want to give a new life to these things rather than throw them away because I'm sentimental, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say to people, like, I'm going to give you this gift. It might be garbage. You can throw it away if you want. Just do it out of my eyesight, please. And
Yeah.
I feel really honored that you kept that. That's a good one. That's a
This is a
good one.
great one. I absolutely love it. It's so cute. I just love it. And I thank you for it. And I've kept it ever since. So I always think of you.
Yay.
And so you told me earlier you were going to Joshua Tree shortly in April, right?
No, in February,
February,
actually.
February,
Yeah.
sorry. So you're going in February. And are you at liberty to say if this is a trip where you will be consuming
Oh,
mushrooms?
I mean, look, it's it's the Joshua Tree um it's like the artist residency. So I guess most national parks have an artist residency that you can apply
Nice.
for. So I applied as a writer, and they were going to set me up in a little cottage that I get to have all to myself for a month in the park. And they're like, it's pretty hands off. Is that okay? I'm like, that's totally fine. I just want to meet all the people in the town. I want to meet the local artists. I want to talk to people about the desert. Um, but certainly part of my process as an artist, as a creator, is having mystical journeys. So I will be having some mystical journeys.
Absolutely.
Truly. And you were there with me for one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
Like when we ate mushrooms in Astoria Park, one of the best days of my life.
I agree. That was such a fun day. We had such a great time, great company. Yep. And one of the funniest things about that day, so listen, I did mushrooms with a few friends in Astoria Park. It was a beautiful summer day in July. And we had the idea that we were going to go in the pool.
Oh, yeah.
We said we were going to go in the pool at Astoria Park before, because we all went and like got ready, or not got ready. We took them at my old apartment and chugged them down.
We blended them with ice cold watermelon. It was delicious.
So delicious, but it was so good that and it hit our systems really quick. Like they started to kick in within 20 minutes. Yeah. And I remember thinking, if I tell people how quickly I'm starting to feel these, no one's going to believe me. They're going to think I'm just saying like, oh, my mushrooms are kicking in. But I was like, oh shit, my mushrooms are kicking in.
And let's be clear, like the person who got us this supply, I won't out him, but he is truly a spiritual master, gave us we had heroic doses that day. And I didn't know what I was getting into, but it was so magical. I felt, and so yeah, we were wearing bathing suits, and it was hot as balls. And we set up under this big tree, which by the way, I live 5 minutes away from that park now, and I visit that tree every day.
I always wave every day. Every time I'm in Astoria Park, I walk by Astoria Park on my way to work just on purpose, just to be like, oh, I just love Astoria Park.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
we looked at the water. Remember, we saw the pool and we were like, fuck that.
It wasn't the water that scared me though. It was the tons of people. I was like, I cannot be around people who are not in this space. Like, there's no way. So we stayed pretty close to our tree that was home base. And whenever we wanted, we came back to it. And I feel like I had a conversation with God. I mean, it was.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you do. That's what shrooms do. I will say the next morning, and this is so gross, and I don't even know if I've ever even told anyone this, but we were pretty much like laying all over the dirt and shit for probably 5 or 6 hours. And I came back to my apartment afterwards. I don't know if everyone showered, but I did. Yeah, people shower. I was like letting people like take a shower, whatever. I showered. We all kind of like cleaned off and had some pizza. But the next morning I was eating. This is so gross.
Oh no.
Drinking my coffee, watching TV, and I like scratched the side of my head, and like a bug fell in my coffee from my hair. And I just was like, are you kidding? Obviously it was from rolling around in the dirt.
We were rolling around like little children and just getting filthy.
I did not appreciate the bug that day as much as I would have the day before, but dirty. What a dirty bitch.
No, I get that would have been appalling to me as well. However, there's no judgment, because you were really one with nature, because we are nature, right?
Yeah, we are all nature. Have you watched Fantastic Fungi on
like 4 times?
Okay.
I love it.
It's so good. I'm always pushing it on people, but then I don't want to also be like that person that's like, you should watch this mushroom documentary. But everyone should watch Fantastic Fungi on Netflix. If you can't do mushrooms, watch them.
Wait, is it on Netflix? When I watched it, it was on Amazon, and I had to pay $4 to see it.
Oh, I don't think I paid to watch it, because that's not really my style.
Yeah.
But I definitely watched it. Maybe, I mean, just start typing it in your Roku, you'll find it. We can't do all the work for you.
It's not just about psilocybin mushrooms. It's about all kinds of mushrooms and how they're like so fucking smart. Obviously, they've been on Earth millions of years longer than we have, and I think that they're much smarter than humans. And we should listen to that shit.
We should definitely listen to mushrooms. And also they have a similar chemical makeup to humans.
I didn't wait. They do?
Yeah, it's like some kind of thing in the mushroom is similar to human being makeup. You should know that, Lyssa. You watched the documentary 4
I
times.
know. Well, I was probably stoned every single time, but
You have to be.
I just love how they have like they're, we see mushrooms above ground, and they're just like cute little toadstools, but like the power of the mushroom is in everything that's below the soil, the mycelium, which are these like, it's like this long, it's like the internet of nature, and it helps connect all of the trees to each other so that the trees can like send nutrients back and forth. Like, it's wild what is going on beneath our feet, and humans are like, yeah, but like we invented the stock market. Like, shut up.
Yeah, I know. I don't even want to get on my high horse about I guess empathy and kindness, but I was talking to someone last night, and we were talking about how, although this is not ideal of what we want to be going on in the world right now, we are still living in the best time period ever. Even though, I'm not trying to go back to 1950.
Right, no way.
Or 1970. I'm not trying to go back to, so we are evolving, but it is taking a really long time.
Well, it seems like that, but then you look at like how long other shit has been alive on Earth, and it's a tiny, tiny blip on the radar.
I guess that's true.
But yeah, I mean, I appreciate your optimism, and I feel the same. Like you said something earlier about, COVID like sucking and it just being a bad time, but I really, not to be Pollyanna about it, but I really think that everybody has been forced to reevaluate what's important to them and to sit in stillness, even if it's uncomfortable. And like, I feel like the evolution that we were going to go through anyway has just been really sped up by the pandemic. And I'm here for it, and I feel like this is what I was born for.
Oh, I love that.
Like,
Yeah. It's definitely, what do they say? Diamonds are made under pressure.
Yep. Carbon that's been squeezed under million tons of pressure.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Too bad diamonds aren't free though, right?
Oh.
I guess they can be if you meet the right person or are the right person.
Well, diamonds are actually not rare at all, and the only reason they're so expensive is because like the diamond market is like a monopoly. It just like jacks up the prices. But diamonds are actually not very special stones.
You hear that? Everybody wearing your diamonds right now?
Yeah.
Not us.
I'm saying like get you some sapphires, get you some emeralds, and the opal used to be the engagement ring stone before the diamond industry took over.
And that's a fun fact for you, everybody. Now, Lyssa, you're going to Joshua Tree in February, but before then, do you have? I know it's touchy right now with COVID, but do you have any in-person shows that you can tell us about that people can check out?
Yeah. So, I was supposed to do the Bitch Seat in January, but Super Secret Arts has canceled all of their programming. So stay tuned. That will be after Joshua Tree. But myself and Jessica Rotundi and Jessica Brodkin co-produce a show that is currently called Vision Quest, but the name is under construction. But whatever the show is called, it is comedy interspersed with psychic readings, and there's usually like a woo-woo theme. And it's on the Friday the 28th of January at 7 p.m. at Pete's Candy Store in Brooklyn.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. What a way to go out of the city too on your way to California. That's amazing. Well, if anybody can make that show, check it out at Pete's Candy Store. And if anybody, which I hope everybody after this listens and follows Lyssa, please check her out on Instagram at A Flock of Sandwiches. On Twitter at Lyssa is a person, and you can follow zany.for.remote.work on Instagram if you want to check out her podcast. Lyssa, this was such a fun conversation. As per usual, we always have fun conversations, but now it's in podcast form once again.
I loved it. This was so great. It felt so fast too. I mean, I could chat with you forever.
And the good news is, Lyssa, we will chat forever. And I'm very grateful about that. So thank you so much for doing the podcast. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye.